have come and many have gone, but you are a great kankambukacious ability, worth being beheld by every optical nerves. That saith the papacy.
Keep watching too much GH, and you get the best of entertainment, the best of everything you want.
My name is Ohima One. Keep watching too much GH. It's the best.
Keep watching too much GH.
The major prophet kum chacha on say me catch was say bomoden na hwe too much GH on say me kan ye ne bone pa na kase ye pe wo wiase ya asondin ti na adam wo hu nyame ye no nyam no wo hu ne ma bi a wo hwehwehwehwe e wo other place ne ade kat won na bomoden na be hwe too much GH be hwe na subscribe bomoden o be hwe pe na wa ye subscribe o subscribe subscribe na subscribe na o subscribe a na wo benya ne ma papa a wo pe ahwe nyame hira na ewura.
Kingsford Sumana Bagman on the occasion of his election to the high office of the 8th Speaker of the 4th Republic of Parliament of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, a brief account of the event that unfolded prior to, during, and after the election of the Speaker of Parliament would establish the appropriate background to our subsequent submissions. In compliance with Article 95(3) of the Constitution of Ghana, which provides, and I quote, "No business shall be transacted in Parliament other than the election to the office of Speaker at any time when the office of Speaker is vacant," unquote. The Clerk of Parliament, Mr. Cyril Kwabena Otin Nsia, who was clothed with the authority to convene the House in the absence of the Speaker, called the new House to order for commencement of official business at exactly 7 minutes after midnight on the 7th of January. When nominations were invited from the floor, Honorable Haruna Idrusu, the MP for Tamale South and the incoming majority leader, proposed Honorable Bagman to take the chair as Speaker of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. Honorable Muntaka Mubarak rose to second the motion, but in the bizarre twist of events and in clear breach of the standing orders, the Clerk of Parliament, who was then presiding, recognized Honorable Afenyo Makin, the MPP MP for Ifutu, who rose on point of order. Honorable Afenyo sought to find out from the clerk whether he had received service of a Cape Coast High Court order restraining the MP-elect for Aseidu from being sworn in as a member of Parliament. A debate ensued, but before all sides could be heard adequately. For instance, Honorable Dominic Ayine was on his feet, struggling to catch the eye of the clerk. The clerk overlooked all that and ruled that he had received the court order, so the MP-elect of Aseidu could not participate in the proceedings. A clear, calculated ploy to reduce the voting strength of the NDC side. However, the clerk was compelled by his own embarrassment to reverse his earlier decision when he could not provide further and better particulars of the service, including the name of the bailiff who affected the service. At this stage, it became clear that an MPP official actually served the clerk with the court order and not a court bailiff. It is the considered view of the NDC that by the clerk of parliament constitute serious misconduct on the part of the occupant of the high office of the clerk of parliament of the Republic of Ghana and must not go unaddressed. It is a big shame, ladies and gentlemen, that the clerk of parliament scandalously lent himself as a pliant tool in the conspiracy to reduce NDC's parliamentary numbers and gave the MPP an unfair advantage in the speakership election. How an order of injunction was allegedly dispatched from Cape Coast at 4:44 p.m. could be served on the clerk of parliament at 4:55 p.m. when he was within the presence of parliament performing his functions is a mystery which only the MPP and the clerk of parliament alone can explain. The NDC roundly condemns in the strongest possible terms not only the contravention of the due process of law by the clerk of parliament, but the shameful conduct of the Cape Coast High Court. Article 104, Clause 4 of the Constitution provides that, and I quote, where Parliament is considering a bill to amend the Constitution, or where the voting is in relation to the election or removal of any person under this Constitution or under any other law, voting shall be in secret. This provision was read and explained to the House before the commencement of the voting. Yet the MPP side of the House insisted on open voting, where each of their members was compelled to display their marked ballot paper openly to their leadership before putting it in the ballot box. In the face of this clear breach of the Constitution and the unwillingness or inability or both of the presiding clerk to enforce the rules, the gallant NDC MPs were left with no other option than to disrupt the voting and stop the continuous perpetrating of this impunity and fraud. Their demand was very clear and specific. Either the vote is conducted according to law, or there will be no voting at all. When it became clear that the MPP side could not have their way in flouting the rules, the MP for Bimbilla, an outgoing Minister of Defense, ordered armed commandos from the military and the police, with the shameless assistance of Substandard Kwesi Ofori of Greater Accra Police Command, to invade the House in order to intimidate and push away the gallant NDC MPs who had occupied the center of the House to prevent the vote rigging. There was a standoff between the MPs and the soldiers, which lasted for well over 15 minutes. Once again, the forces of evil were eventually repelled amid boos of shame, shame, thieves, etc., etc. Calm was restored and voting resumed peacefully after a meeting of leadership of both sides with the clerk. It is important to note that a significant number of MPP MPs still managed to display their votes openly, but they were ignored with contempt. At the close of polls, there were signs of relief that the worst was over. Little did anybody conjecture that the most disgraceful action in the history of parliamentary practice in Ghana was about to unfold under our very eyes. After the sorting of ballots, the completion of the first part of the counting process, which saw one rejected ballot and 136 votes cast in favor of Professor Mike Aaron Ocquaye, the MPP MP for Swami, Honorable Oseidu Mensah, was seen directing Honorable Carlos Ahenkra, another MPP MP for Tema West, to the table where the ballots were being counted. In fact, Honorable Oseidu Mensah was seen shoving another MP off to pave the way for Carlos Ahenkra. Immediately after, Honorable Carlos Ahenkra dashed to the table, snatched the heap of ballots being counted for Bagman, and took to his heels in a Usain Bolt style. Once again, the gallantry of the NDC MPs was on display, and within minutes, the ballot thief had been arrested and the papers retrieved, even though he had managed to chew and swallow 2 ballots.
Yeah. What a chewer!
Surprisingly, the same leadership of MPP who had orchestrated this daylight robbery in Parliament unashamedly began calling for annulment of the election on account of the ballots having been tampered with. You go and steal ballot papers, and you want somebody's victory to be annulled because of your thievery. This is exactly what played out in Senate West, where the MPP youth organizer snatched a ballot box, managed to break the MPP seal on the box. When he was arrested, and both the Electoral Commission and NDC accepted that the ballots could be counted, the same MPP people came demanding that the box had been tampered with, so it cannot be counted. And when the matter went to court, when the thief was sent to court, his senior official, the deputy regional chairman of MPP in Borough region, was the lawyer to defend him. When that defense failed and the thief was jailed 3 months for tampering with the ballot box, then they came back and issued, tried to prevent the counting of the contents of the box through a court injunction. Fortunately, that did not succeed. The same way as Bagman's attempt to spoil Bagman's vote did not succeed. And so the NDC MP in Senate West had to be declared the winner, the same way as Right Honorable Alban Bagman has also been declared the winner. The MPP demand for a rerun of the elections and the counter demand for the declaration of Honorable Bagman as the winner led to another 2 hours of stalemate before eventually evil had to succumb to the forces of democracy. In fact, at some point in time, the MPP were demanding that before Bagman could be declared the winner, we should accept a joint statement indicating that Professor Michael Ocquaye withdrew from the contest and there was no election at all. Can you imagine this? Everybody in the world saw the election happen, saw the ballot papers being stolen, and you want us to come and embarrass ourselves, or rather to share in your embarrassment with a common statement that the election didn't take place and Ocquaye was never defeated, and that he withdrew eventually to allow Bagby to go. Some of us insisted that Ocquaye had lost the elections and let the whole world know that he had lost the elections, because he was warned. In fact, I did warn him that he was too old to be a speaker. And I advised him that this was the time for him to dedicate the rest of his life telling Anansi stories to his grandchildren. He didn't listen. And he went in for the contest. So you must be prepared for the shock of a defeat. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. So we are happy that the truth eventually prevailed. And some of us didn't understand why a clerk will conduct elections only for leadership of parliament to declare results. We insisted that the clerk must declare the results of his own elections. If he's proud of the election, he should say so. And that was done. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, Parliament in every democratic jurisdiction represent the bulwark of democratic freedoms, and we insist that this excessive abuse of power to intimidate members of Parliament represent a desecration of our highly revered parliamentary democracy and a grave affront to the dignity of the legislative arm of government. No other person than Nana Akufo-Addo as Commander-in-Chief, or shall I say Acting Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces and Chair of the National Security Council, was directly responsible for the unwarranted, illegal and despotic invasion of Parliament before its inauguration. Ladies and gentlemen, on the night of the election, specifically as midnight approached, one could see at play all the condemnable acts of violence, intimidation, abuse of the judicial process, misuse of the Ghana Armed Forces, and the destruction of once revered state institutions that characterized the just ended December 7 presidential and parliamentary elections. What happened in Parliament from January 6 to 7, 2021 was simply God's way of bringing life to all Ghanaians, freely. The infractions and crimes the NDC had been complaining about since we went to the polls. The MPP's penchant to ignore due process, set the rules aside, and use brute force to have its way has now played out before Ghanaians and the international community freely. We would like to urge the newly elected Speaker and our MPs to always remember the hard-fought victory of that night and ensure they put the national interest first at all times. Ladies and gentlemen, The sad spectacle we witnessed in Parliament were just a repeated snapshot of what took place across the length and breadth of the country during the general elections held on December 7, 2020. The use of armed soldiers at various polling stations and constituency collation centers, snatching of ballot boxes, intimidation, harassment, and in some cases, killing of innocent, unarmed civilians in cold blood was what characterized the elections of 7 December 2020. The circumvention of due process, as we have witnessed in the election of a Speaker of Parliament, was played out in the form of plain thievery and systematic rigging, culminating in the flawed and fraudulent declaration which the NDC is challenging in the Supreme Court. As the world witnessed the ugly events of speakership election and the subsequent vindication of truth, we are quite confident that it is only a matter of time before the truth once again prevails in the matter of the 2020 election petition filed by our presidential candidate in the 2020 presidential elections, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. It is our hope that when the outstanding issues regarding the disputed parliamentary results, such as Techiman Saf, Servioso, Hohoi, Takwan Swaim, Zabzugu, etc., are satisfactorily resolved, there will be a clear NDC majority in the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic. Meanwhile, the NDC is calling for a full parliamentary inquiry to be instituted by the Speaker of Parliament into the unfortunate events of the January 7th, 2021 in Parliament, particularly the invasion of the Chamber of Parliament by gun-wielding military men with Azubu masks and the snatching of ballot papers by now dishonorable Carlos Ahenkra, and to punish all those who are found culpable in accordance with the laws of this country, including the conduct of the Clerk of Parliament on that occasion, and to forestall any such occurrence in the future. How the Marshal of Parliament allowed the security of Parliament to be breached by people who are described in parliamentary parlance as foreigners on the floor of Parliament. If you are not a member and you enter there, you are a foreigner. So how the Marshal, who is in charge of the security of Parliament, allows his domain to be invaded in such a matter must be a matter of inquiry, and those who deserve to be punished must be punished accordingly. Whilst at it, let me state clearly and unequivocally that notwithstanding the inauguration of Mr. Akufo-Addo as President of Ghana, the NDC shall not, and I repeat, shall not recognize Mr. Akufo-Addo as the legitimate President of the Republic of Ghana until all the issues surrounding his flawed election are satisfactorily resolved. I want to repeat that the NDC shall not, and they must watch my lips, the NDC shall not recognize Mr. Akufo-Addo as a legitimately elected president of the Republic of Ghana until all the issues surrounding his flawed election are satisfactorily resolved. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. For yeah, and say the Dika Major NDC and Panifo Anemu enemy Ankasaso Manemu Ama Ghana Fuina Afisha and then say Trophy Chiabui. Your friend said Yabeche or minor June Ako and Nguasisemo AC ye Ewo or minor Rasebajum na Nuya Abitramu Wabra na Parliament to Aba Apao Rasebajum Chairman the Dikai Yede Nasia Ebema NDC Rasebajafo Oha Abiasan Sonu nyina se wo mo akokodura wo mo de sori gina ye e de prima o man Ghana kan bi ma min kan bi amamuo ene National Democratic Congress Party no yedie ya besan so ada ye nuanom a wo mo MPP mu a de ekoso no nyina na ye wo mo tan ye wo mo ahi isan say wo mo nim say o man no kanko emu hia chei party anti ebi etimi sori gina ye ehu nokre ekoto aba no ema de emrase badwam chiame no akonwa no fata no a eye yenua Alban Sumana Bagben na ene wabeye mrase badwam chiame da wo mu nyina ase na ye kan sa no na ye twe ya dwen akọ aningwasesemo a esi wo mrase badwam ho wabra abato no na ebe koso mo be kai se ye kwa abato December 2020 eba ye no NDC be kan se kwan a aban no ene electoral commission akoye kutupa na wo mo achinchim ni pansa edi soja ene police for ni vigilante for eko buru nipa bebi wo ho ni awiawi ballot boxes ni asɛ no bebi wo ho ballot papers ni afa ni atitim a ni nyina na wo mobotai ni sɛ o man no besan age Nana Akufo-Addo atum sɛ ono na ye mampani ni asan age ne mrase badwamu fo no dodo no ama wo mo abetra parliament Nijidi se ebra NDC ba ya ni e complain o sa ne ma no Ghana fo bebre a wo mo anko field anko hu de si ye no na ye wo mo adwin mu na se NDC dama dedebi e na ye yo enti Nyankopon e wo kwan a ofa so e pawo di bonye ni bia na sene ntoma e ma ye hunu na daja eno nti ne ma esisi ye eye nansane ne no yenim se eye kwan a na twede ampo Nyankopon opese oda MPP for suban ene Nana Akufo-Addo suban adi na Ghana for na enye Ghana for nkwampo wiasefo nyina efi say parliament madie no koso no ne won sentrofo a wo firi wiase baabia na wo mo ho a wo mo so ehwe bi enunti nipa ni nyina na timi call efi ho ana nya wo nyina so ne timi hwe TV enunti edane kwa mu say ne ma ekokọ so no ye be kire bi mu abọ no tofa na ma hunu de ekọ so de di kai parliament no ko trans ya say parliament chairman eni ho a ensa say parliament hia say parliament be hia juma wo mo betimi dia ne say wo mo ebeto abane yi mrahye badwam chairman saa na ye mrakuni no ekire na chairman no ni wa ye wo de oja nanamu edisa adwuma no e frɛ no clerk of parliament minim ya mamre mu se be ye be frɛ no ahenkwa o se be frɛ no edebe no enunti papa yi e frɛ nhyiamu no anadwo no dumienu pa ho meet be ye nson pɛ ena obie bompa ye di dwumadie no esihye so enunti obi akwanya se obia wonsusu ya efa nipa ese ede no ye mrahye badwam chiame a onfamra enti enua haruna idrusu ene sorry ye ene osusu se yemfa honorable Bagwin enye mrahye badwam chiame parliament nhihye wo ho se ebue nomination no obi nominate obi a wa be sorry a obenya kwanya kasa bia na o ye obi a o be fo ane so ye ma ho kwan se ya ka nomination ne se hwan na be fo aso a na obi foforo aso so ka se foforo enso so no ye bo abansumani Bagwin dia muntaka sorry se okofo aso a ena MPP mrahye badwani bia e friend no afenyo marking o sorry ye no ka se opeso bisa clerk no say Ninsaka krata bia Africa Cape Coast High Court etre say Aseidu of Empia ya power no court Abraham say ense say obetra parliament ho no swai ana say abato aye beto no obetimi atubi nti e dia chinye e bai me ababia na mete no kra no afenyo marking guso a o kasa o si opeso obisa clerk nse nsa kan krata bi odi kan ka se nsa kan krata e wo tape so odi kan ka se nsa kan krata afi se yeden o kasa wie ya ese akwanya ba na anuye bi wo ha na the other side so ayi no achinye no koso no a anwie yemra nimni kase pa oye former deputy attorney general Dominic Ayine osori gina se obecheche nse bi mu ana clerk o de ababo mu se o nsa aka samon kraka no na wati ase se oma Aseidu of MP on to Sabano bi eno de nsuo bo wa kase bo me enti omo enim rai we bisa no question we bisa no question we me akra ba bia mete no na mani ewu ama if you say yes Cape Coast High Court say one issue krata 444 11 minutes echi now zaka no parliament ya krata no so ensese ye de fa electronic mail bia so SSA obi di be sha wonsa a oye belief clerk say nsaka asi belief be na de baaye oni otewa o say Hamza ana a lawyer for na womunim saa nipa no ana am so pani Hamza ye Cape Coast Court registrar onye bailiff enti de ekro no na onim say yemu binum nim say MPP akuku dam no bi ene court ho say yen fa krata no emfamra wo mo head office ha ena wo de fa electronic mail mu ema MPP for no abi o fa krata no de koma clerk of parliament ya enye ne kwan so na clerk of parliament so ye hurahuru wa ma wa beje atum say Cape Coast belief na be say bo krata enunti em say obofo bi be ma na dwene say de waka no ntime mwe enti okungu ano no a okungu ye say akurase makame mwe asemo midi kai no mia nam ka masem meboa enti yema opani no meto naba enti we kire opefi say na kana na bi koso efa MPP for any parliament ya krachi for a mramu no ensese momoko obi afa no ana ne botaya ne se yebeye kanta ama my Ocquaye abewini nyame ncha de na womoto epaaye womoto paaya enu fi hoyi anso ho parliament mra constitution so kire say ye to aba e wo parliament na efa say ye di sisan constitution no baabi ana say ye di to aba apa obi amana kodi akonwa bi ana ye to obi afiri akonwa so a esese sa abato no eye by secret ballot clerk e kan sa amra no e di to dwa say eno ne de beye abato afi yan kwesha abato yi asia na MPP for so announce say wo mo de obi a ebe ma ballot paper bia o ma ke nipa obeto amana fa be kire MPP mpanimfo ansa na wo de akoto adaka ene si there bi etia constitution enti enya no sa ye beka o mo nti asie ena o mo sha asie se wo mo to aba no sa e de etia constitution eno ne ma NDC MP4 no e sorry ye ekotie mu se ye ma bato no nkoso ne enkoso kina sa bato bi be koso a esese e famra so frenching entisa na nya bato enti ekoso be ye mprensa kura ye hyase a na wo mugusu se ye ndie sa na ye be ye no enti obi sa wo se na nipa yi wo mo ewo aban mu yi wo mo adwin se oman no mra no eni wo mo na mbom nipa wo mo nya MPP fo nko ana oman mra bedi wo mo ana se wo mo adwin ne se enunti enoma abato no atwisan echere pa enti pinchen no koso no afi ye beha sojafo na apie police fo ne di kan bae ansumo na sojafo apie ekura atuo edi azugu mat akata wo mo ani wo mo abebo awura efie ho parliament ho a onye member of parliament ya wuntimi emfa na nsi ho no sojafo abewura ho ba bibia anka sojafo no se kiri wo mu nyina for mutiny se o ma ye kudita se o ma bewura na se badwam sa kikiri no big two niti wu fo se ma o mo nko o se be ma o mo nko ena o mo ha ena ye NDC MP fo se ne mu nku ye mpreko se mo di soja ahurahura ye wo outside na ye ne ye fie ha mo be san di soja abeto aye ha de ene mu nku ye ɛne mfa nya abakosa ɛno nti sogyafoɔ no egyina hɔ bɛɛ sɛ meet dum abato bi ankɔso bibi bi ankɔso ɛna kyerɛ wɔn a de wɔn ani wo ewudrɔ epie kɔɛ ɛno akyi ɛna MPs wɔn mpanimfoɔ no ekohyia mu yɛ meeting sɛ ɛbrɛ ɛɛkɔ adeɛ kye so a sɛsɛ yɛ try president ɛno nti no wɔn te aseɛ na abatoɔ no nkɔ so yi wɔn nyinaa te aseɛ sensan krataa sɛ yɛbɛte aseɛ ama abatoɔ no ayɛ by secret ballot no wɔn baayɛ a yɛhyɛ ballot no ase nipa no bebree ɛfaa sɛ mɛdeɛ enie ma yɛ mɛde akyerɛ na yɛtu MPs no for sɛ wɔn nyae sɛ majority of MPP MPs no na wɔn di mmara no so nti obi a ɔno pɛ sɛ ɔsan n'anim sɛ me na meyɛfrɛ me kwasi patapaa no monyaa no ma no nyɛ ne patapaa nti wɔn yɛ yɛmfi wɔ ɛna yɛto aba wie nti yɛto aba no gu adaka no mu wie obiara nim sɛ animguasesɛm a ɛsiiɛ no ɛto atwa nti afei deɛ yɛbɛkan aba no ne ahunu deɛ ɔdi nkonim yɛbu adaka yi ɛtɔ hɔ a in fact nipa 275 no nyinaa bae obiara ni hɔ a yɛbɔ ne din a na ɔyɛ absent ɛsɛ na ni brɛ hɔ paa ɛno nti yɛbue adaka no so yɛ sorting no yɛdi kan ɛkan ballot a asɛe na ɛno yɛ baako nipa no di kan maake Ocquaye ɛna otwa mu ɛtwerɛ bagel ɛna ɔmo se wɔtwa mu koraa no a wamaake baabi nti yɛ mpere so me yɛ kan ɛna yɛde to nkyɛn yɛse ate wɔn kan Ocquaye deɛ no na akɔyɛ 136 a ɛkyerɛ sɛ wodi pusagrama koraa ɛne si afa every day I did 275 we back when I say free mu na we 136 free mu there can be 138 eno nti ati wa me hu se chairman Sabonsu wa frɛ Carlos Ahenkura nti ɔne no kasa kakra kwansima na obi gyina chairman Sabonsu animu ne adaka no ɛna ɔde ne nsa bɔ nipa na akyi sɛ ɔntwe ne hɔ microphone enti sɛ na ɔbae kwan mu ama krɔmfoɔ na so ɛna ɔbae kwan mu a kikiri Usain Bolt no abɛtam abambadwe vote no nyinaa ɛde abɔ ne bo yɛkyɛ si no na ɔde mmienu ahyɛ n'anim ɛno nti ɛmsɛ na bulsafoɔ kakra so wɔ parliament nti ɔmo so kyerɛ n'adeɛ kakraa bi nti ɔmo yɛ brɛbrɛ ɛgye nkrataa ɛgyɛ sɛ wɔahwe mmienu ano afei yɛnim sɛ yɛakye na awie deɛ asɛm de n'asɛm kɔ chairman Sabonsu no a wowasoma obi ama na bɔ saa koro no mo san sɔre agyina sɛ aba no yɛbɛtwam ɛfiri sɛ obi abɛfa nkrataa na nkurɔfoɔ afisu sɛ yɛhohoro yɛanim a yɛde kɔ soro ade ɛno nti ɛno kwaa twe yɛn tena hɔ bɛɛ sɛ dɔtwere mmienu akyi ne egu so afei na ɔmo aba dwombo adunum nyinaa aba ne abɛhyɛ kokoam baabi Yes, a friend, or not to me, and to call. Men call me Jan Ponteso Hannah, the TBA movable back in say one. I don't see what my let us say, Uncle Siaga. Clark Nupia and Casa, one I'll conduct your elections. Council resource. The new meeting, council resource. So, Mrs. Chow, if you had said, and MPP animal grassy, the Nakufa, the Cobana man, said, the senior, you need the obey. Everything. And yes, that's it. Mommy, I've got announced to say about to only a young talk. Now, my Ocquaye would do, you know, who said, Professor Jaima Bagging or Jaima Bagging. Nancy, and then you send me Namonkwana Namohe TV. Oh, my head, there were baby and crater baby. Over see a cassa about to a mass, Namo crowd on a better day. Ain't he, yes, sir? Moncoca. Michael Ocquaye all bum know himself about a crowd with me Nante. Ain't he, sir? I'm not forced to say, young farmer will be a one for this or be a near the Amana. So what's your quack or the fear? And until be unfro, you went in with your eyes open to a moon now so. And I am in Nketia, now so. And until yes, someone say, Sanya Mana, ACC. See a cassa ye brapra, Edia check a tebiasi. Ni aya jinso atwamu ayintwamu a animguase na abano Ghana fo a eti omanum ene wo mo a wo mo ti abrochire baabi bia no ye difia ka wo mo nyina enu nti esese ye democracy no etimi sori na se obi difin abeka no a yetimi popa sa fin no free ho na wo mo hu se Ghana mistake bet me aba na mistake ba banyansafo o Ghana wo mo sori epopa selfie no free ho ne ka say ye wia ne wia ye wia ye nwie enti ye nam mo so to nkra ama speaker foforo na waba no se na juma no be ya ese so sha ase ese obeti ba so ko bi e be hwehwe and Semfina a course our December 6 and December 7 our Parliament. Yan we read the disoja for the process for no be wura Parliament. Yan we read kwanya enam so a Marshal of Parliament ya or no Parliament security for no nyina order o mo ano on na hwe bambo so Parliament. Otimitra ho Emma, other security forces ebe invade premises no sign echo gra. Mrashe badwa fie ho no. Se na djuma no ntimi nya. Yempa di pa from anenye. Ne ensan hwe clerk no a. Ono so emra ehye no se ne office no ense se odiko obi afa. Na kwanye fa so a Court nkrata mu hu nsem a emu na ho enne kwanye fa so a yama no asodie se omye nto aba emu beda ho na ebe secret ballot na MPP for the mrano share wo nsa se wo nye secret ballot na ono wantimi anya ho bibia no ya hwehwe ono so ne ne ye na obi biara asotwe fata no yemfasa asotwe emma no na enye asensodie enna ho se oba be say Ghana democracy a yewo eho asotwe wo fa esese ye de twon na we nyina ekoso no ase ye kekamfu a ye kekama adampan na ye yi speaker ni a form parliament ama na Nketia akosai akire parliament enti ewie no okosai kire parliament no fa NDC MPs yansi ho if we say ye gina enanso say abato na ekoso 7 December na mu na ho na niema na ye ka ho asem say esisi ya na eye binom tribunal no eno na Nyankopon aboa ma wo mo ankasa bepa wo mo ntoma eno ntino kosi se ye behwe saa niema mu akosi efitire akosi to otwan na obia hu se abato no bibibia eto chema wo mu bia no yakura no ana ye free ho no ye NDC fo ne akitafo nyina se na Kufuado ye mu no se oye president ya o man Ghana ato abani it is obey president ya obey president on half of the country NDC fo come enunti our first half house of her which mine na odi no ho all right mine yen copy president that president papa beba yen no be yen da mu na ase na me insira e man
Hello, please can you mute the music? So the journalists hearing gathered, we want to find out from you whether you have questions for the General Secretary. If you have a question, kindly come in front here. We'll give you a microphone. Sound man, can I get another microphone? So come through, sir. So you tell us your name, your media organization, and your question.
Right. My name is Kodrad and I work with CTFM. I want to find out...
Please, can we have order in the auditorium, please?
I want to find out if the NDC, and for that matter, the NDC caucus in Parliament, are not recognizing President Akufo-Addo as President-elect and sworn in, will they participate in the vetting of ministers?
Thank you. Any other? Okay. Your name and your media organization.
I'm for joining. My name is Paco. My name is Paco for joining. And when the General Secretary was speaking, he talked about investigating Carlos Ahinkra and also made reference to the video in which you've seen the Aseidu speaking to Carlos. We don't get the voice or the sound of whatever they are discussing. So why don't you conclude that perhaps he was asking him to do that?
Thank you, please. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, finally, General, you are asking that Carlos be investigated. We also equally saw members of your party, John Tenapon, Munta Kambara, to be specific, also disrupting the process. Why also not calling for an investigation should be launched into their conduct whilst it disrupted the process as well? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Please, let's have order in the auditorium. Let's have order in the auditorium.
Komla is my name, I work at TV. One of the questions I was going to ask was just asked by Parker, whether you were going to give your thumbs up for, whether you were going to go in for the full investigation of all members who were culpable, both on your side and that of the MPP side. Then, two, you did indicate that when the ballot paper was snatched by Carlos Ahinkra and both leaders together with the clerk went into conclave to look at the way forward for which your side was demanding that yes indeed you had won and that your candidate must be declared, who from the NPP side did say that you should issue a joint statement. Can you be clear to tell us who made that statement?
Thank you very much. Any other? We are taking only one round of questions. So if you have a question, you can ask it now. Media. Okay. Kindly come in front.
Good afternoon. My name is Dean.
Yeah.
My job is
Media house.
My media house is Top FM. This is here, President Nana be a caretaker president. And NBC, so who say, or your president, they are not going to participate in anything. President Musa said, bills have a parliament. Ocquaye State of the Nation address, we are a big debate. On may take part, bills on may discuss because they're benefiting Ghana for their policies. And in the Yebe Kana, Yadia Jumama Ghana for Omuba debate. In this instance, Omu is a president.
Okay, thank you very much. So, General will provide answers to these questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't know whether I should speak English or I don't know. Obi Bisa said whether our people will participate in the vetting. Yes, we will participate in the vetting. The vetting is not meant to approve. It is also meant to block thieves from becoming ministers. Number two, somebody was asking me about the voice of Che Mensa, whether I saw his gesticulation, but did I hear his voice? I'm a master of sign language, so
What to go sure?
So when you are urging somebody to go and say, I can see that you are urging somebody to go and say. Somebody is also asking what we should do about Muntake's conduct. We should award him a national prize. Because you see, you know that killing may be wrong. But if you see somebody going to bomb Akosombo Dam and you kill that person, the court will set you free. So when you talk about disruptive conduct, it doesn't include the conduct that is intended to prevent wrongdoing. So Muntaka acted well, and I believe he deserves a national award. So we indicated here that, you see, where injustice and impunity become law, then resistance becomes a duty. So somebody is doing something wrong. You have tried using every means to stop that person, he will not stop. You must resist him with all the force you can command. And that is lawful. So you will be acting in the interest of Ghana if you prevent people by whatever means from subverting our constitution. So that's why I call those who are involved in that activity gallant MPs. They stood up in defense of our democracy and our constitution. So this one, there is no equalization. One person was doing wrong, was subverting our democracy, and another person was applying minimum force to prevent the wrongdoer from pursuing his actions. And so, in defense of the Constitution and democracy, so the actions of some of them are very, very justifiable. Then I'm being asked who made a statement on Michael Ocquaye that they wanted us to make a statement. It was from the MPP leadership. And they presented this as a proposal to our side. And we shut it down. So how they concluded, who suggested it, and how they adopted it as a proposal for us, it is their business, it's not our business. Then somebody is asking whether we will debate bills. Yes. We would debate bills. And if they are wrong, we will shoot them down. We are not going to leave Parliament for Ajapa to come and be back. When it is brought, we will shoot it down. So when we say we don't recognize Nana Akufo-Addo as a president, we know what will hurt the national interest and what will further the national interest. Thank you very much. Have you seen this? You are yet to elect a speaker of parliament. And then because of your fraudulent deals, and you were satisfied that by all means the election will be rigged. So you predetermined that Michael Ocquaye will remain the speaker. And so you go to print your brochure with Michael Ocquaye's picture as a speaker. So when Abambagwin got elected, you quickly now, this is Michael Ocquaye. You quickly now go and print something and then paste it on top of Michael Ocquaye's. They have taken Ghana for granted for far too long. So these things will not be countenanced anymore. We have to rescue our democracy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that insightful and inspirational presentation. I can still see some of your some hands up. When we are done, General will still be here, so you can meet him and have an interview with him. But at this stage, we'd like to thank all of you, particularly our friends from the media, for attending this press conference. Because we are still engaged in the battle to rescue this country. We couldn't meet with you during the Yuli time, but we want you to know that we appreciate you a lot, and at the right time we will meet and show our appreciation. So thank you very much for coming, and we are hoping to meet you very, very soon. Thank you.
many have gone, but you are a great kankambukacious ability, worth being beheld by every optical nerves. That saith the papacy.
Keep watching Too Much GH, and you'll get the best of entertainment, the best of everything you want.
My name is Ohima One. Keep watching Too Much GH. It's the best.
Keep watching Too Much GH.